welcome once again to our videos on the Eucharistic revival. We've done a video on sacred scripture, Eucharist and sacred scripture. We've done one on the Eucharist in the early church and what the early church writers had to say about the Eucharist. Now we dive into metaphysics, some good Aristotelian philosophy. So buckle up your seatbelts. It's going to be kind of a wild ride. So I actually, when I was preparing for this video, I was trying to remember my metaphysics class from seminary, and my metaphysics professor from seminary is now Bishop Johnson, the bishop down in Des Moines. So I sent him a text trying to clarify something. He didn't get back to me. He probably has like bigger fish to fry than like just answering my stupid questions about metaphysics. But I looked it up myself. I'm like, oh, this is a good refresher. It's kind of funny. Like in seminary, I remember like doing philosophy, and I'm like, I don't want to study philosophy. Like I want to study things about Jesus and God and stuff. Like why do I have to waste time studying philosophy? I'll never use this stuff. It's amazing how much I use it as a basis for theology, for what we believe. And in things like this, it's important stuff. During my time in seminary, I even joked about there was a philosophy club at the college I was at Loras College in Dubuque, and I joked about being the president of the anti-philosophy club just because it was so hard to study. I just wanted to learn about Jesus. But anyway, let's get into some Aristotelian metaphysics. Here I am, eating my own words, using great philosophy and metaphysics to talk about the Eucharist. Okay. In the Eucharist, we talk about transubstantiation. So that's what we believe as Catholics, that bread and wine undergo transubstantiation and become the body and blood of Christ. The word transubstantiation, compound word, trans, change, substantiation or substantiate, substance. So it changes substance. The substance changes. This is where metaphysics comes in. Aristotle, in his Aristotelian Metaphysics, talks about things having two different sort of aspects. So he speaks about accidents and substance. Accidents, it's not like spilling your coffee, that's an accident. But he talks about the accidents of a thing being the type of things you see a thing have. So it can be size, shape, color, amount, all those sorts of things are the accidents that you see on the outside. For instance, I have hair on my head, I'm a certain size, a certain color, all those sorts of things. Those are the accidents that I have. Things also have a substance. The substance is what a thing is, what it really is. For instance, me, I am a human being. That is my substance. I am a human being. My accidents can change. I can be covered in a bunch of shaving cream. In fact, this just happened recently at Totus Tuus. We had our kids' summer camp, and I was covered in shaving cream, so I just looked like a white ghost. So you look at me, my accent changed. I just looked like this complete white ghost. But I was still me. I was still a human being. I was just covered. My accidents changed. Or I could gain 260 pounds if I just ate a bunch of fried chicken wings and drank Coors Light. Or I could lose like 60 pounds or something like that. And I could my accidents would change. What I look like on the outside changed, but my substance would remain the same. Likewise, my substance could also change. The way that would happen is if I died, if I stopped breathing, I would cease to be a human being. I would actually still maintain my accidents. I would still have arms. I would still be the same size. I would still be the same color, at least for that time. But my substance would change. I would cease to be a human being, and I would just simply be a body, a corpse. And that would be a different substance. It's not the same substance. So things can undergo different kinds of change. I can undergo accidental change if I'm covered in shaving cream, or if I gain a bunch of weight. It changes color, shape, size, all that type of stuff. Or things can undergo substantial change. My substance can change if I cease to be a human being through death. Okay, why does this matter for the Eucharist? This is true in everything. Aristotle says this is true in everything that we have in creation, everything that we have. And he uses reason, right? He uses philosophy to explain all of this. So let's talk about it in the Eucharist. Let's go to sacred scripture. Let me grab my Bible. Sacred scripture, we hear Jesus speak about different things. And he has the power to perform miracles. So we see that Jesus has the power in sacred scripture to change things, accidents, the things that how things appear on the outside, but also he has the power to change things, substances, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So changing things, accidents. An example would be the feeding of the 5,000, right? They just have 5 loaves and 2 fish, and he changes the amount, the quantity. The amount or quantity would be the accidents of the thing. And he is able to change that miraculously to feed 5,000. So this is what we believe about the power of Jesus. We also believe that that particular scripture verse is a Eucharistic scripture verse. So if he has the power of the accidents of these things to multiply these things, that's a pretty powerful thing. But not only does Jesus have the power to change the accidents of a thing, but he also has the power to change the substance of a thing by a miraculous speaking of words in particular. The death, we'll get to that in a moment. But let's talk about the wedding feast at Cana. He changes water, which is one substance, into wine, which is a different substance. And he doesn't do this by the natural means, right? Like to make wine, you can undergo the natural means to add sugar to it and fruit and all that type of stuff. And it can ferment over a period of time. And under natural means, it can take on a new substance. But what Jesus does is he does it by supernatural means. By his speaking, by his actions, his divine actions, it undergoes a supernatural change of substance, a substantial change, Aristotle would call it, from water into wine. Now, from the scripture verse, it sounds like the accidents also changed. It wasn't just clear liquid anymore. It was probably some red Cabernet Sauvignon or something like that. So it changes both the substance and accidents. The point is, Jesus has power over substantial change in a supernatural way, not just by natural means. All right, that's a lot of Aristotelian metaphysics to take in. So let's take a break on that, and please join us for part 2 as we continue a wild and crazy philosophical roller coaster. God bless.